Okay, we're going to hear now from our 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship team. And that's Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 M&M's Crispy Toyota. He's joined by his championship crew chief, Adam Stevens, and his championship owner, Coach Joe Gibbs from Joe Gibbs Racing. And certainly congratulations go out as well to Toyota. This is their first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Drivers Owners Championship. And certainly congratulations going out to our friends at Toyota. Well deserved. Kyle Busch, how does it feel to be the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion? And congratulations, by the way, for a super, super performance.
Thank you very much. So far it feels amazing. You know, I don't know that anybody could have ever dreamt of this year especially, but to have dreamt of my career path the way it's kind of gone, it's certainly amazing to have the opportunity right now to be in this position with Joe Gibbs and M&M's and Toyota and Adam Stevens, for them all to prepare such a great race car for me tonight, to be able to go out there and perform in this format and to do what we did, to end up in victory lane and to win this championship by winning the race was something special. So you know, I don't know if it's all completely sunk in yet. I remember winning the Xfinity Series championship, and it took it a little bit to kind of get in, and I'm sure we'll be feeling that here in a few weeks in Las Vegas. But you know, this night tonight is certainly really, really special, and I can't say enough about all my team guys, everyone on this whole M&M's number 18 team, everyone that's back at the shop with Joe Gibbs Racing for building this awesome race car and all the hard work and everything that they continue to do each year, but more importantly through this year to put all the Gibbs cars in a chase and then to have us succeed all the way to the end is pretty special. So you know, it goes back a long time too with my family and my friends and everyone that's worked so hard over the years to give me the chances that I've had, and for me to make the most of them and to get to this point tonight. So I don't know, it's pretty cool to be in this spot.
And Adam Stevens, in your first year as a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series crew chief, you win the championship. And I don't
Where
know
was he years ago?
I don't know of a better way to be able to do that. So just talk about the thrill that you're feeling now. Certainly the team performed exceptional tonight. And you got to talk about that and all the preparation. Talk about that, if you would, Adam.
Well, you know, I'd be lying if I said I've had any idea what we've even accomplished this year. It's just been such a whirlwind year. You know, it was very compressed from the time that Coach and JD said, hey, we need you to crew chief a cup car maybe 16 or 18 months ago. And just so much work went into building the right team and getting the right guys together. A lot more work went into that than went into thinking about race cars. But you know, we had such high hopes for the season and got off on a good start there early in speed weeks, and then Kyle had his accident, and the wind was certainly taken out of our sails, and we were just, I was just terrified that he was really, really in bad shape. But he saw his way back through that and got us on the right track, and thankfully we had a lot of help from Matt Crafton and David Reagan and Eric Jones, and learned a lot in his absence, and we're just ready for his return, and he came back strong. So that's a testament to his hard work and dedication, and it got us to where we're at today.
Thank you, Adam. And Coach Gibbs, you've won championships at several different levels, obviously, at the top of your profession. This has to be one of the best ones, I would think. But just talk about what it means to win the Sprint Cup Series championship at Joe Gibbs Racing.
It's a thrill. It's been 10 years since we've won one. And I think the thrill of this is everybody that gets to go with you. And I left some people out tonight. Hey, Jimmy Maycar, when we first started, was our crew chief, ran everything at our place. And thankful for him and Patty. And then Todd Meredith, I didn't want to leave him out this time. He runs all of our present operations and everything, all the hard work. Everybody back at the shop. Obviously, all those people that get to go with you on a championship run like this. And then we had all the first. It was a first for Toyota, which was a thrill for us. They've been such a great partner, and to finally get a a trophy for them, for Toyota. I appreciate each and every one of them and all those guys that were here. It was a first for M&M's and Mars. Think about that. They've been in the sport 25 years supporting this sport. And this is their first championship. Just a huge deal. Obviously for Kyle and Adam, it was obviously a big deal also for them. And a first for all those people. Norm Miller had actually won one before with Interstate Batteries. But, you know, for Norm to get to go with us on this, he was a big part of it tonight. He's been such a friend and everything. And then it's everybody, our family. I wish Pat, Coy, and Heather, and Al, Case, and Jet are not here, but all the rest of our grandkids and everybody's run all over the place. JD, by him being here, was a thrill for me. All that JD's put into this over the years, it's great for our family. And I think it's hard to express because all those people that get to go with you in those relationships, that's what's the thrill about winning a championship. I'm thrilled to be a part of this. Nothing bigger in sports has ever happened to me, and so it's a thrill for me to be a part of this.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions now for our championship team. We'll start right here with Al Pierce, and then we'll go back in the back. And then Bob.
Yeah, Al Pierce from Auto Week. Adam, for you, you said a second ago you were terrified that he was really hurt bad. But wasn't he really hurt bad? And
Years ago?
and Kyle, if you could explain, sort of medically speaking, how bad was it and how difficult was the rehab?
Well, just for me real quick, you know, when we saw him get out and sit on the door there at Daytona in the Xfinity race, I mean, I didn't know what kind of shape his legs were in. I didn't know if it was going to be this year or next year or if he would walk again. I mean, I had no idea. I'm not a doctor and I wasn't there. And, you know, I spent 5 or 6 hours in the hospital with Coach and Jimmy and everybody trying to put a plan together and couldn't even get in to see him. So I had no idea how bad a shape he was in. But it was pretty clear a couple days later that he was on the road to recovery mentally, even if he wasn't physically yet.
Yeah, the recovery process, or what all happened, as bad as it was, you know, I wouldn't recommend it if you're looking to achieve a championship this way. It's certainly not easy, but it'll make you mentally stronger and physically stronger. I'd say that. You know, this is certainly a lot different season than anybody would have expected to have happen for myself or this race team or anything in this sport. But you know, going through the rehab and everything, it was hard. It was really, really hard. I remember the first time Ken came over and he says, "All right, man, we're going to try to stand up today." And I was like, "You're joking, right?" Like, what? And it wasn't even that I could stand on one foot and just try to put weight through my other one. I had to stand on my broken leg and not put any weight in my left foot because the foot was worse. And to just get vertical and get back straight up and down and to try to stand, I mean, it took me 3 seconds and I started to see stars and was about ready to black out. So we did that about 3-4 times, and then that was it for that day. And about 2 days later, you know, he came over again. We did it again, and I was able to stand up. And that time, you know, I stood until it hurt. You know, it just the pain just going through your leg and everything that was going on. You know, it's amazing. You know, that was when was that? That was, let's see, boom, boom. That was about 10 days after the crash that I first started getting vertical. It's amazing how much you lose in muscle mass or whatever to just be able to do that again. I mean, you felt limp, really, like you had no control over anything down there. But, you know, we just kept powering through and kept doing everything as much as we could, as quickly as we could, and, you know, we're able to power through and get back. Yeah.
Let's go to Bob Pockris. We'll go over here to Jay, and then we'll take Team AP.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Jeff Gordon was very complimentary of you. He said that you're more talented than him. But he also said that it's at tracks like these where you would have a tendency to push too hard and take the right side off the car. So I'm curious, was it difficult today not to push too hard and take the right side off the car?
Not when you got a car driving as good as mine was. Tonight, I mean, when we unloaded here and we started in practice, you know, we were loose and kind of a little out of control, but Adam was making some really good changes, and the car kept coming to me, kept getting better and better. And we got it to where we wanted it. I mean, I was really pleased and happy. I was like, man, I think we kind of got something. We weren't the best on the lap tracker, but, I remember winning California years ago, and we were 25th on the lap tracker, and Dave was worried as heck. I'm like, don't worry about it, bud. I got this. And, today it was kind of the same thing. I think we were 8th or 9th. I mean, we were good, but I was actually shocked and surprised that the top didn't come in as much as we expected it to. I mean, Larson kind of got it going there. I think he was one of the only cars that could really make time up there tonight. But it took so long for it to get going that it never really paid off all that well, I guess. But our car, man, we worked on our car all night, all weekend long, of just being able to work the bottom, the middle, the top, and just work our car all over this racetrack to make sure that we had the drivability in it to be able to maneuver and be anywhere that we needed to be and not just stuck to a particular groove. So that really worked for us. It was really smart execution all weekend long, and really good adjustments and calls by our team, Adam Stevens and our engineers and everybody did a real good job.
Let's go over here to Jay Busby.
Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. You've had both positive and negative major life events in the last 9 months. Aside from having a sweet new trophy, how are you different as a driver and as a man than you were this time last year?
I don't know exactly. I mean, that's probably more of a question for my wife maybe or Adam, but I don't know. I guess I feel more at peace a little bit. I've always thought that I've been in this sport and been kind of, not because of things that have been said to me, but just because of, you just feel like you're fighting for a job. There's always younger, better people that are coming up through the ranks behind you. So I just kind of was like, you know what? If I'm meant to be a race car driver and if I'm meant to be a champion, then I'll continue to be here for the long haul. So I might as well just stop focusing on worrying about my job and just let it be. And that seemed to help. But also just going through the rehab process, I think really just made me more mentally tough and to understand that I know what I can do physically and mentally. When you're doing some of those moves, in therapy, when Ken wasn't with me, he'd give me a list of things to do, and I just had to do it. You don't know how many times I just wanted to stop and just be like, you know what, I'm not going to do the rest today. But I powered through it and did what I needed to do, did what I could do, plus some. When Ken would tell me just do 10 reps of this at this weight, I was always like, I got more than that. I'm doing 12 at this weight. So it was just something that pushed me and gave me that drive to be, I guess, the man and person I am right now.
All right, we'll go to Mark or Dan, whoever wants to go first, and then we'll go to Nate Ryan.
Dan Gustin, Associated Press. Joe, you've now won more Cup championships and Super Bowls. Is it time for a new nickname? Time to retire coach? And what does it mean to have now found more championship success in NASCAR than you did in the NFL?
Yeah.
Boom,
Well,
baby.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Obviously, like I said, you can't. The Super Bowls were awesome. It was a different role for me over there. I came over here, and I told everybody that over here I'm not the technical person. Some of the owners are. I'm not. And so my job is to try and help pick the people. And then I have the real thrill, the first of every month, trying to pay the bills. It's a different
You
kind
and me
of
both,
thrill.
brother.
Don't give me that. And so he told me on the way over here in the car, he said, I should have waited to extend my contract after this. So anyway, but, with JD, the front office, everybody there, it's just a thrill for all of us, and certainly for our family. Got my grandkids in there. They're back there running around. And we got a second generation coming to the race shop, and be all those guys. So it's a thrill for us. It's a thrill for me to be in two sports like that. I love football, and everything that I got to do there is just a thrill for me. And then to come over here and have two great experiences. You realize in life, most people never get one. They never get to have one. And I've had two. And so believe me, I know how blessed I am, and I appreciate that, and I thank the Lord every day, and I'm very thankful for having a chance to do this.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Jennifer, AP. Kyle, I know you said only 10 days in you were starting rehab. So were you ever concerned about your career, like that you would even be able to get back in the car?
Well, just to clarify, it wasn't 10 days I started rehab. Actually, it was, let's see, Saturday, Thursday. It was that following Saturday. So it was 7 days after I started doing something. You know, it wasn't much, but I just started doing something. It was 10 days when I started to stand. But what was the question?
In that short period.
Right.
Were you at all, were you ever worried about your career? Am I going to drive again?
Right. Yeah, initially for sure. When I had the crash and when I knew instantly that the right leg was broke and the left foot was broke, I was really worried. I was actually like, I don't know if it flashed before my eyes or if I just thought it, but it was like, man, I'm going to have to go back to laying decals. You know, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get back in a car again. I just didn't know how severe it was, you know. But fortunately, you know, for me, it wasn't that bad, and was able to put it all back together and be here today. But it did worry me for sure. You know, it crossed my mind. I mean, I was thinking too for Samantha and for Brexton. I was like, man, my wife's pregnant and I got no job. You know, so I was a bit worried. But you know, I think that's just the sort of emotion that goes through in that particular moment. But past that, everything's kind of gone really well, and to be back in this place that I am right now is even better than I was before.
Let's go to Nate Ryan, and then we'll go to Don Coble.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports on your left, Kyle. Oh,
So you're good. Go ahead, Nate. Thanks.
Going back to the championship celebration tonight, normally when you're walking across the stage on the front stretch, reaction is decidedly mixed compared to tonight when it was all cheers. It seemed like it was really, really well received. That might have been partially because...
You mean they weren't just saying my name tonight?
Yeah. Might have been also they were tossing free M&Ms and T-shirts, but it seemed like people really were excited for you and happy for you and across all fan bases. Do you feel like winning this championship might change that perception that people have of you? Like, does becoming a champion maybe change things a little bit from that perspective?
Yes and no. I think becoming a champion doesn't necessarily change fans' opinion of you, but I think how you are the sports champion will change perception of how people think of you. So I'm really optimistic and looking forward to being the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion next year and doing all the things that a champion is supposed to do, and maybe that'll change some more things about me. You know, who knows? But it's certainly been a whirlwind season this year, and I think there's been a lot of change in myself and my family and my team. But yet, I think there's probably still more to go, and I'm looking forward to that experience.
Let's go to Don, and then we'll go to George, and then Tom. Go ahead, Don, far right.
He's doing his eye thing there. Don Coble with Morris News Service. When you made your comeback in NASCAR, said, okay, here's what you have to do to qualify for the championship. It was mixed. You know, there were some mixed feelings like, well, that's a really impossible, it's a really difficult step for you to reach. To you, because it was such a challenge, was that a driving force for you?
I think it was, yeah. And actually, as a matter of fact, you know, when we heard all of that, you know, Joe went to bat for me, Toyota went to bat for me, everybody went to bat for me about how it wasn't fair. But regardless of whether it was or not, you know, we set forth and did the path that was given to us by NASCAR to go out there and win races and score enough points to become championship eligible for this chase for the Sprint Cup Series championship. But I think the time in which it really set forth in me was after Michigan. You know, we had a couple of good races. We were going to finish top 5 our first night out at Charlotte. And pit strategy, the race kind of went green to the end. It didn't quite work out that way. Somewhere else we ran okay. Dover, we were running third until we got caught up in a lap car. But regardless of all that, you know, we weren't finishing where we needed to be finishing, and it was getting a little disheartening. So I finally was like, you know what? I need to give my team the best effort that I possibly can for the rest of this year, for Adam and all the guys, to prepare for 2016 and just get ready and, you know that, look, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's not meant to be. I just had to put it in somebody else's hands, and that's how I raced the rest of the year. We went to Sonoma, and, man, we weren't the best car there, and we weren't the fastest one there, but I put it in somebody else's hands and just did what I needed to do behind the wheel. The right brakes went our way. We got on pit road when we needed to, and we won that thing. And it was like, okay. It sort of just changed right then and there, and it was really exciting for me and for Samantha and this team to know that our biggest obstacle that we thought was going to be the hardest thing for me to do this year was run Sonoma. We won, so it was like, ain't nothing any harder than what we just did today. So we just need to keep striving on and doing the best we can each week and let things happen the way they will.
Let's go to George, and then we're going to go to Holly Kane.
Over here, Kyle, to your left, George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel. Everybody understandably asked Jeff about his emotions before the race. What about you? Was it more or less business as usual, or were there any moments that kind of stick in your head right now?
It was pretty business as usual, I got to thank my sponsors, M&M's and Toyota and Monster Energy, Interstate Batteries, all of them. We asked that they let us do our normal deal today before the race and everything, and they gave us our space and just let us be, and didn't make a mockery of our race car before on the grid, and it was peaceful. It was good, and look at where we ended up. So I feel like I owe all them a thank you for giving us that chance. But to me, it was business as usual. We got in the race car, everything was good. I didn't have any nerves when we were racing with Jeff and Kevin, and I looked in my mirror, and Martin was there. I think we were 1, 2, 3, 5 pretty early in the race, and Joey, one of the best cars all year long, was right there with us too. I was like, man, it's going to come down to this, isn't it? So I was like, well, what other better chance to win a championship than to have to beat all those guys? So we just kept my head focused in the race and just kept running my own race and did what I needed to do to stay up front the way we were. We had awesome car on the long run. We had awesome pit stops on pit road that gave us a chance to kind of keep spreading our gap to Harvick there late in the game. And then, that last caution there towards the end, of course, everybody's like, oh, really? But fortunately, we came down pit road. It was in my guys' hands at that point whether we were going to fail or succeed, and they succeeded very, very well. They gave me a great pit stop. And then it was back into my hands from there on out, for the last restart and the last part of the race. And probably from like lap 60 to go, I'd say. I guess that was like lap 200. I just had to start singing kind of a tune in my head about trying to forget about some things that were happening, and thinking about what could be or what might be. I just kept singing my son's favorite cartoon character song, so it was trying to take me out of the moment a little bit. Vocabulary. It's a 3-minute little cartoon that just Brexton stares at the TV and watches and laughs and smiles about this little bird and this little parrot and teaches words. So I just kept singing that.
Thank you for telling me that. I wondered what the hell you were saying on the radio when you said that. Golly.
Let's go with Holly Kane.
My wife knew. You should ask her.
We'll go with Holly Kane and then over here to Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Holly.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Kyle, you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but how ironic do you find it that you get your championship in a year where you've had to overcome so much? You've had all these other years where people thought, surely you're going to get it, and for whatever reason it didn't work out that way. And then you have a year like this where you've had all these things to overcome and you do finally get it.
Yeah, I guess, years past we've had stupid things happen to us in the chase and it's eliminated us, but this year we still had a couple of those moments, but we were still able to strive through and regain our strength and be able to make it through. Obviously our biggest problem that came up was Loudon, but it was early enough in the chase where it was still 12 guys that were moving on through, and it wasn't like I guess Logano at Texas. That would have eliminated him, I guess, if it wasn't for being able to win any more races. But we had that, and then we had the Charlotte incident with Kyle Larson, but we were able to overcome both of those things, and we went to Kansas, one of my most detrimental places of going to, I guess, and who would have ever thought Kyle going to Kansas would be a top 5 finish? The last 2 races I've run there, top 5, so we're good. But yeah, I mean, the huge tragedy in the beginning part of the year, I guess, maybe just fulfilled everything of past years in the chase, but we got it out of the way early enough that we were just able to have a smoother season at the end. And I finally won my first chase race. Thank you very much.
Yes. There you go.
All right.
All right,
Stop asking.
Go ahead,
Who's got a question for Joe or Adam? All right, let them do it because I need more eye drops.
Okay, who's got a question for Coach Gibbs?
Please,
or
sir, thank you.
Adam? We will take that. Go ahead.
Adam, what was your strategy getting the car ready, getting the team ready for when he would come back? I mean, what were you thinking throughout that whole time that you would know that it would just be seamless when Kyle came back to race?
Well, I don't know that you put quite that much thought into it. I'm not real big on team meetings, but we did have one, and Joe called one as well. And, I just told him to look at it as an opportunity. We still have to advance, and we still have to make our program go forward, and we have to contribute to the success of JGR as a whole. And the guys that chipped in, Matt and David and Eric, just did a tremendous job. And when you have somebody else in the seat, you get a different level of feedback. You get a different kind of feedback. And I think that helped us develop our setups and our notebooks in a way that maybe just Kyle driving wouldn't do. So it has its pluses and its minuses. We didn't have the most top 10s or top 5s to show for it, but we had a few. And we learned something every weekend we went to the track based off their feedback and their experience. So that was huge for us to move forward and be ready.
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. For Coach, obviously Kyle has enjoyed tremendous success in NASCAR, and a lot of people would say this was his one missing ingredient was the Sprint Cup Series championship. But as Jeff Gordon noted earlier today, he's only 30 years old. So now with Kyle Busch with the Sprint Cup championship, have we seen the best he has, or is there still maybe scary for his competitors, even better to come?
Well, I think when we talked about those past times that we missed stuff in the chase and he fell out for one reason or another, I think a lot of that was us, the race team, broke apart. And last year we couldn't avoid that. It was just 2 cars hit us, and we were trying to be real conservative. So I think in a lot of ways he was ready, but, our race team probably wasn't ready. So, I still remember the first time I ever heard about Kyle Busch. Coy was racing trucks, and I called him to say, hey, how's it going? He goes, it's going pretty good. I'm kind of mid-pack, but he said, there's some kid here in a truck, and he's 2/10 faster than the field. He goes, I hope they kick him out of here. He's only 16. I think he was cheating on that, and so they did kick him out. That's the first time I heard of Kyle. So he's at 30. He's doing pretty good. So I think we got some years left here where, you don't really know. It takes so much to get this. It really does. You got to, in pro sports, what you learn is if you got a weakness, you're not getting there at the end. They'll find it. And in our case, pit stops, the car, Toyota, all they did for us, have a crew chief, everybody in support back home. That takes a lot of teamwork, a lot of stuff. And so last year is a good example, our worst year, 2 wins. And our guys really started fighting last year, and I think last year probably propelled us to this year. 13 was a great year. 14 was awful. It shows you how hard our sport is. And so it takes total team effort. And you got to have everything put together, and you got to have a great driver, obviously, and to be able to win one of these. So you really, it's been 10 years since we finished second, we finished third, we finished second twice, and it's just hard to get.
Let's go to Jeff Gluck, then we'll go over here to Tom Jensen.
Jeff Gluck, USA Today.
Yeah,
Kyle, did you get champagne in your eyes? That was
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. I mean, it blew my eyelid open. It hit so hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the one thing I was going to ask you mentioned it a little bit with that debris caution. I don't know if you were too busy singing a baby song to say Kyle Busch caution or something, but I was surprised that you didn't really have any sort of reaction. What was your reaction in the car at that moment? How did you stay composed? Because that could have been a key moment.
My wife probably did too. There's probably a few choice words from her, but Joe's was probably shucks.
Now, I think it was more than that. I will confess. Okay.
I think I just knew the greater picture, you know. I expected it. I just didn't know when it was going to come. You know, I didn't know whether it was going to come with 50 to go, 40 to go, 30, 10, whatever. You know, I just sort of expected it. So I had my mindset that if it did go green to the end, great. And if it didn't, then I just kept continuing to think about how my car was driving that entire run in order to make sure I gave the right information to Adam so he could make some really good calls and adjustments for us for the short run or whatever it became, whenever that caution became, in order to get us ready to win the race.
Let's go over here far left, Tom Jensen, then we'll come back to Mike Embry and Kenny Bruce.
Hey guys, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. For anyone who wants to answer this, you guys got really hot in the summer. You won 10 of 13 races. Kyle, you won 4 out of 5 no matter what happened. Seems like you won every week. And then after winning the first 2 races in the chase, you guys as a team didn't win any of the next 7. Was there any concern coming into this weekend that you had fallen behind, or were you confident of the speed? Sure, Adam.
Well, all right. You know, no, not at all from me. You know, we got on a hot streak there in the summer, and if you recall, we had a chance to win the next 2 after that. And I ran them.
The 18 team.
Yes, exactly. And I ran them out of gas at Pocono after we sat on the pole. And then that kind of put us back on our heels a little bit, thinking about points. And then we got to Watkins Glen and had a chance to win that one. And I convinced myself that everybody else was going to run out and we were going to have a green-white checker, and we were saving fuel for that. And had I turned them loose on that one, we could have won that one too. Could have won Bristol pretty easy, but I had them speed on pit road.
Somebody said, you can't speed in this segment. Don't worry, go hard out of your box.
One thing I know for sure, Kyle can find a way. Good or bad, he can find a way. So yeah, we had speed. We led the most laps at Chicago. You weren't asking for a dissertation of race by race, but no. And then the chase started, and it's about accumulating points and keeping your average finish up. And that was my mindset and our mindset going in. We weren't going to pass an opportunity for a win, but we were going to make sure we had the finishes and scored the points. And then we had that issue with the flat tire at Loudon, and it was on again. You know, we had to make sure we had a good finish. We weren't at win at all costs situation. But so you kind of piece your way through the chase like that, making sure you get yourself in this position, and then you get to release the beast at the Homestead, and that's what we got to do.
Let's go with Mike Embry, and then we're going to go to Jordan.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Right. Kyle, you and Kurt started out racing big wheels against each other. Now you've got matching championships. What was your meeting with him like after the race?
It was cool. You know, certainly, you know, being my brother, he is my brother. We may not see eye to eye all the time, but, you know, it's certainly a great opportunity for our family. I think the Busch family, just to share in that moment. I was here for Kurt's championship when he won, and I was the first one to his car. I was in his window before he even got out. So that was pretty special. I remember that still to today. You know, I remember sitting back at his motorhome watching the TV on the outside and just kind of seeing how it was all playing out. And I remember when, you know, when his wheel fell off, I did the same old Busch thing that we always do. It's like, oh, it's over. That's it. You know, darn, what am I here for now? Kind of thing. And he brought it back and he won, you know. So it was pretty cool to have that. But, of course, my mom and dad, they're both here as well, too, tonight. I can't say enough about them and all the sacrifice and everything that they've put forth over the years to give us this opportunity, both of us this opportunity. And you know, it's funny because driving my parents' stuff, you know, we only went to if I level it out in racing, we only went to level 2 driving my parents' stuff. That's all we could afford. You know, I have driven somebody else's car since I was 16 years old. So it's pretty amazing that I've been able to make those ways through the racing ranks and here to today. And I can't give enough credit to my dad for everything that he taught me. I mean, and my grandmother and my mom. You know, my mom and my grandmother, they were up in the grandstands filming the races. You know, when my brother and my dad were racing, then when I was old enough to hold the camera, then I filmed it. We'd always go back and we'd watch it on Sundays, you know, during, before, or after a Sprint Cup Series race, whatever it might have been. And then, you know, when I started racing, poor old grandma, she had to do the cameraing. You know, she was a bit older in age, and it wasn't always the best, but we got what we got. And, you know, we deciphered through the video, and my dad was there teaching every step of the way. So all the credit for us being who we are as race car drivers, goes to Tom and Gay for sure, but Mom and Dad. And funny story, my dad told me, actually it was in the hospital room the night Samantha delivered, he says, you know what this means, right? No, tell me. Tom's greatest literature. Is that he goes, do you want your kid to race? I'm like, I don't know. If he wants to, that's fine. He can race if he wants to. Otherwise, we'll find something for him to do. Well, you do know I'm pretty good at figuring out whether they're good or not. So I'll be sure to let you know pretty early. And I was like, well, thanks, Dad. I'll be sure that it's you that tells him he can't drive and not me.
All right, let's go to Jordan, and then we'll come down here to Kenny Bruce.
Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. How you kind of touched on it a little bit, but fairly or not, the rap was you couldn't win the chase and you couldn't win a championship. You put both those to bed tonight. Any vindication of that?
No, just went out and executed. We did our job. To me, it was just another race. It was a race that had greater responsibility and greater stakes, but in the end, it was another race, and we knew if we won this race that we would be Sprint Cup Series champions and be sitting here talking to you as late as it is and still having people waiting out there to do more photos, so it's pretty cool.
Let's come down here to Kenny Bruce, and then we'll go to Steve Richards.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com, for Kyle and for Adam. And you've spoken a little bit about this, but given your illustrious chase career up until this season, did you prepare yourself any differently coming into this year's chase, or was it just a carryover from how successful you'd been after your comeback that you were just able to carry that forward into the chase and didn't really have to worry about it? And for Adam, were there any concerns that if something happens, you're in one of these, oh no, here we go again?
The situation for me when, like I mentioned earlier, when we went and finished 43rd at Michigan, that's when I was just like, all right, forget it. Just race the race car. Don't worry about running up front and winning and being fast and this and that. Just let it come to you. And I played the whole rest of the season that way, all the way to the end, all the way to tonight, through tonight. Just let everything be. Whatever it was going to be, it was going to be. And fortunately for us, it meant a Sprint Cup championship.
Can you say your question again?
I knew you were going to forget.
Was there any concern for you going into the chase that if you guys had a bad race early on, that it was going to be a struggle from that point because of everything that you...
Yeah, I got you. No, absolutely not. I go back to all my dealings with Kyle back from our Nationwide days or Xfinity days up and through before the chase this year. I haven't seen that out of him. Whatever situation you put him in, he delivers. The more I ask out of him, the more he gives me. And I knew if I had a plan and I gave him a good car, we could always make it work. I think the Michigan deal was pivotal for me too. I probably had some more conversations with him, maybe in my own way. He probably maybe doesn't even realize it, but it is important to approach each weekend as a clean slate. It's my responsibility to look a little bit further down the line, and it's his responsibility to focus on what's in front of him. And I think he did that perfectly.
Let's go to Steve Richards, far right.
Steve Richards of PRN. Kyle, obviously you're pretty emotional after you took the checkered flag. How emotional did you get, and what were you thinking during the cool-down lap?
There was some emotion that came through, crossing the start-finish line. Actually, coming out of turn 4, that I'm not being crazy, but there was a tear did go across my cheek because of the G-forces I was pulling out of turn 4. And I was like, are you serious? Like, wow. And then I crossed the start-finish line, and I was just so excited and yelling at my team and everything. And then it was just like trying to keep it all together, and it was like starting to fizzle up. And, fortunately, just I don't know. I thought of a lot of different things in that moment, crossing the start-finish line. I just remember thinking of everything that's gone on this year, thinking of my wife and Brexton and this race team. And then I thought of how long M&M's has been in the sport and how much it means to them, and Toyota's been in the sport. This is a first for them. I mean, just so many cool things of this night and winning this race and what it meant, that it all was just kind of starting to come into my mind. And that's why I was singing vocabulary so much for earlier in the race, I was trying to get all that out. But it all started to come in, and then again, through the cool down lap, all that was still, kind of going, and I didn't even know what to do. Like Richard Buck's talking to me on the radio, and I heard about every other word he said, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And not disrespectfully, but like I just didn't know what he said. I'm like, okay, I got you. I didn't hear a word you said, but I got you. And so, he told me to park over here, and I'm doing burnouts, and I'm like, well, I got to go celebrate with my team because they're right there, so I go over there. But, when I turned around and went backwards, I wanted to see, the crowd and just to see what was going on with them, and I still couldn't hear anything yet, but I just thought of giving, sort of the old school victory lap. Obviously Alan started that years ago, but I did it just so I could see everybody and have them get a good picture of a clean race car with a flag, coming out the side of it like it was, and thought that was a cool moment.
Okay, let's go right now to who do we have next in the queue? Let's go to Reed Spencer, and then we'll go to Alan Cabana, and then my man here in the back.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service for Adam. TV was talking about a radio issue that you guys were having. Was there a point in the race where you were having trouble understanding what Kyle was telling you about the car, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, our radios, I got a little hot, and I apologize for that, but our radios have been stellar all year. In the last 3 weeks, I've been having trouble hearing him, like he's cutting out. I think we have an antenna problem or something, but the odd thing was people beside me could say, oh, he said this, and I'm like, how in the heck can you hear him? And I got this 30-foot pole with an antenna on it, and I can't hear him, so I got a little flustered. But the spotter could hear him because he always had line of sight to the car. So I got everything that he said. It was just had to be relayed. And then we got to where we just communicated on the front stretch, and that worked fine. But it was just a bump in the road. It wasn't a real problem.
Let's go to Alan, and then we'll go over here to the left.
Alan Cabana, Fox Sports. Coach, this championship came the same year you guys expanded to 4 teams.
Where are you at?
Right here.
All right, my bad.
And maybe all you can answer this too, but I mean, professionally, financially, was that a risk? And did expanding to 4 teams help achieve this goal?
I would say definitely it's a risk. Each time that we decided to move to 2 and 3, we were pretty slow about doing that. And I thought we'd made great preparation to go to 4. But you're worried about that because in 13 we ran extremely well, and so you're kind of saying, hey, is it going to destroy our focus? And you worry about it. But what comes first is a great sponsor, and we got Eris to come on board, and then having a chance to get Carl. I will say this: he came in total professional all year long, and in our meetings, what I really appreciate when you got 4 drivers like we have. To have them and hear them share everything. They share everything, trying to help each other. And I really think we've got a great chemistry. And I know that that's hard to get, and so we did worry about it, but we thought this was the time for us to do that.
All right, let's go right now to the guy over here to the left, my man to the left.
I got Brian Mapes with Xfinity Racing. I wrote everything down. I hope I don't miss anything. Brexton being born. 13 wins across the 3 series, 4 wins in 5 Sprint Cup races, the Indy Sweep, your first Brickyard 400 win, your first Owners Truck Series title, and your first Chase title with your first Chase win. Even with the broken leg, is this the best year of your life?
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely. I don't know how you top this, but I'd sure like to see. I've definitely won more races in a season. I've definitely, I don't know. We got married for a season, but I don't think anything tops this year. This is certainly pretty special, and wouldn't do it without everyone that surrounds me. My wife, my family, my friends, my employees at KBM, Joe, JD. The team at JGR, Adam, Aubrey, and it's just cool to hear all that kind of rattled off. It's pretty special, but you surround yourself with good people in business and in sports, and it sometimes will more than likely pay it back.
We're going to take 2 more questions. Zach, did you have one? Where's Zach? Back over here to the right. and then gentleman here from St. Louis got one.
You want to text me?
Zach Tanzvetti, French Touch for Kyle and Joe. Over the past 9 months, where would you say safety has improved the most, and where do you think more things can be improved for next season?
How about it, Joe?
Safety?
Safety.
Yeah. I think NASCAR, has done a great job. When you think about our sport, we've been in it 24 years now. We had Denny miss 4 races with his lower back, and until Kyle's injury, that was it. And so I got to tell you, I think and a lot of things that happened, I think after Dale Senior's, death, I think NASCAR's done a terrific job. I think now most of the tracks have safer barrier all the way around. I think it is safety first. I think the most important asset that we have, obviously, is us as people and the way we care about each other and our drivers. We pray for safety every weekend. But I do think we've got a sport, considering we go 200 miles an hour. I think we got a safe sport, and I got grandkids that are racing, and I feel comfortable with the fact that NASCAR's done everything they can. I think is progressively. Obviously, there's things that you would wish had been done in the past, but I think it's a learning process, and they've been very good at working on safety for us.
Final question right here.
This is Joe Larquente with RacingExperts.com. For Coach Gibbs, with all the championships you have and all the rings you have, realistically, could you cover all your fingers with championship rings?
I don't know, but I'm gonna try. That's for sure. But it's interesting. I try and keep those things at the race shop, and it's fun for people when they come in, when they go on a tour. And I would say this to everybody here. It's amazing how many people come in our race shop every day. And they get the biggest kick out of, hey, they're always asking me, is Kyle here, is Matt here, is Denny here? And most of the time I go, no, the drivers are never here. No. They are here every now and then, but they can see a lot. And I think you see so many families that spend their vacation touring all the race shops. They now go downtown to the Hall of Fame. They go out to the racetrack. It's really a great tour, and appreciate all of them. So. I'm thrilled and blessed. The whole point is I'm riding on somebody else's shoulders all the time because I wasn't a good enough athlete to do any of this stuff.
Well, listen, congratulations to the number 18 M&M's Crispy Toyota team, crew chief Adam Stevens, driver Kyle Busch, owner Joe Gibbs, and also our fine friends at Toyota. And Ed Laukus, David Wilson are to the left of me right here. And those two gentlemen and their teams certainly very, very deserving to be 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champions. And they're available over here if you would like to visit with them as well. A great night here for our sport. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Jack's over there too.
Sorry, Jack.
Thank you, Al. You wouldn't know him.
Osaka's there too.
Thank you.
All right, Coach.